We must find her before the night ends.
Have you ever wondered how a simple prison escape could unravel a secret that had remained hidden for years? What began as a desperate attempt to avoid justice quickly turned into the breakthrough investigators had been waiting for. In this case, one man's escape didn't help him outrun the law. It led police directly to the truth behind a shocking murder. The story centers on Richard Evonitz, a former U.S. Navy sailor who managed to hide a violent double life for years. To neighbors and acquaintances, he appeared quiet and ordinary. But investigators would later discover that behind that ordinary appearance was a dangerous predator responsible for a series of crimes that devastated several families. During the mid-1990s, communities in Spotsylvania County, Virginia, were shaken by the disappearances of 3 young girls, Sophia Silva, sisters Kristen and Kathy Lisk. Despite extensive searches and countless interviews, detectives struggled to identify the person responsible. The lack of physical evidence and eyewitnesses made the investigation incredibly difficult, and the case remained unsolved for years. Then, in November 2002, everything changed. 15-year-old Cara Robinson was outside a friend's home in Columbia, South Carolina, when she was abducted by an armed stranger. Instead of giving in to fear, Cara made an extraordinary decision. She carefully observed everything she could about her captor, including his appearance, vehicle, and behavior. After being held captive overnight, she found an opportunity to escape while her kidnapper was distracted. Rather than simply running to safety, Cara immediately gave investigators an incredibly detailed description of the man who had taken her. She described his vehicle, physical features, and even small details that many people might never notice under such terrifying circumstances. Those observations became the foundation of one of the most important investigations in recent American true crime history. The Irish Sun. Using Cara's information, law enforcement quickly identified the suspect as Richard Evonitz. A nationwide manhunt began as federal, state, and local agencies worked together to locate him before he could disappear again. As investigators closed in, Evonitz fled across several states. His attempt to escape only intensified the investigation. Eventually, officers tracked him to Florida. Surrounded by law enforcement with no realistic way out, Evonitz died by suicide before he could be taken into custody. Although his death prevented a criminal trial, it marked the beginning, not the end, of the investigation. The Irish Sun won. With the suspect identified, detectives searched his property, vehicles, and personal belongings. They recovered evidence that connected him to the unsolved Virginia murders. DNA analysis, forensic evidence, and investigative records confirmed what detectives had suspected for years. Richard Evonitz was responsible for the murders of Sophia Silva, Kristen Lisk, and Kathy Lisk. The discovery finally gave grieving families long-awaited answers after years of uncertainty. Although they would never see a courtroom verdict, they finally knew who had committed the crimes and why the investigation had remained so difficult for so long. Investigators later praised Cara Robinson's remarkable presence of mind. Her ability to remain observant under extreme stress became the key factor that allowed law enforcement to identify a killer who had escaped detection for years. Without her courage and detailed memory, the Virginia murder cases might have remained unsolved indefinitely. The Irish Sun won. The case also changed how many investigators approached child abduction investigations. It highlighted the importance of survivor testimony, behavioral evidence, and rapid cooperation between multiple law enforcement agencies. Training programs have since pointed to Cara's actions as an example of how valuable detailed observations can become during criminal investigations. For the families of the victims, no investigation could undo their loss. But learning the truth ended years of unanswered questions. They finally understood who had taken their loved ones and why the investigation had seemed impossible for so long. This case remains one of the clearest examples of how a criminal's attempt to escape can ultimately become the very thing that exposes the truth. Richard Evonitz believed running would save him from justice. Instead, his flight focused investigators on his past, uncovered forensic evidence, and solved murders that had haunted communities for years. Sometimes justice arrives in unexpected ways. A survivor's courage, a determined investigation, and one failed escape combined to reveal the truth behind crimes that might otherwise have remained hidden forever. What do you think made the biggest difference in solving this case? Cara Robinson's extraordinary observations, the persistence of investigators, or advances in forensic science. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more true crime documentaries based on real, verified cases. https://www.thesun.ie/tv/12944565/ Richard Evonitz, serial killer, kidnapper, rapist, Cara Robinson / UTM_source equals chatgpt.com. Who was Richard Evonitz? Meet the American serial killer, kidnapper, and rapist who abducted Cara Robinson in C5 film.